we're over here at Hum Audio, and we are checking out how exactly do you pronounce this? Is it
Wow.
Lao?
Look ahead analog limiter. And you heard me correct. It's an analog look ahead.
Yes.
There is a delay line. We achieved that by using the bandpass filters.
Okay.
So there's no digital delay. It's about 0.2 millisecond delay, but the compressor sees it ahead of time.
Okay.
Sighting to the detector. So no other product right now on the market with that. Like there are plugins, but no hardware. So on top of that, we added our transformer. It can go in and out using the bandpass filters. Bandpass filters actually do great stuff for audio itself. So you have an option of hard bypassing the limiter, which takes it completely away out of the signal chain, or you can bypass just the limiting mechanism, and the signal will still run through the bandpass filters. You'll still have an access to the transformers, and it also has a width control.
Yes.
And the width control works in a little bit different way than in other units, which actually only brings up the sides, so you're not losing or you're not gaining any crap in the mono, especially on the low end information. So that's our crown jewel. It sells really, really well. Available shipping right now.
I've been seeing this pop up in a lot of mastering studios.
Yes, and it's going to be in about 9 more studios after this last 4 days, which makes us extremely happy.
That's awesome to hear.
Yes, we're hoping for more. Obviously, we are putting ourselves in a back order situation, which is a good problem to have. But so far, our clients love it. It works. It does something that no other hardware does.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And now, the newest baby of the family, the N-Trophy console. So, think about if you grab two geniuses, which are the owners of Hum, with too much time on their hands between making the Lao. It started as the concept was, let's start from the center section, which is going to be like the highest quality possible mastering console. You know, the noise floor, everything, it's just through the roof. And then let's add channels to it. So, like for instance, on the channel strip, we have a 990 Jensen up and bass preamp, which is nice and clean yet musical. If that's not enough, if you don't like clean, you can engage our custom transformer.
Okay.
If that's still not enough, you can add 6 different THD options.
Oh, awesome.
And you can blend them in. After that, you have a insert. You can engage wet and dry on it. After that, there's an after compressor with a tube makeup gain.
Awesome.
It has a sidechain filter. It can be sidechain from outside. It can be sidechain from auxiliary 7 or 8. So for instance, your kick channel is here. Send it to aux 8. Every compressor will sidechain from that.
Very cool.
After this, you have a passive EQ, 3-point. Each point has a boost and a cut, gain and frequency selector. And now we have insert compressor EQ. The 3 of them, that gives you 6 different options of order. How do I know that? Because we have them all available right here.
Okay, awesome.
You can put them in whatever order you want. Your auxiliaries, they can be linked to stereo. They can go to short fader or long fader. Short fader and pan, you got a flip option. Actually, this thing, that's not a fader. That's a switch.
Okay.
We put 250 resistors inside, so it's the most accurate device available right now. It will always come back wherever you want it to. 0 dB will always be 0 dB. They will not go out of spec. And yes, they are flying. We partner up with Icon, who provide the technology to have flying faders.
Okay.
And now going back to the center section, you have the auxiliary masters and returns. Each group, there's 4 stereo groups, has a width control just like we have on the Lao. In the master channel itself, you have the after compressor and the EQ. On top of that, you have 3 inserts. The 3 inserts you can put in any order you wish. Between the inserts, EQ and compressor, you also have an order selector. To make it even crazier, we added a mid-side matrix. But where do you want the mid-side matrix to be? You can place the encoder and decoder anywhere you want within the 3 hardware inserts. So for instance, first position, all 3 inserts are between the encoder and decoder. So all your 3 inserts you put, they all work in mid-side mode. And you have position like only the first one is going to be working mid-side, the remaining 2 is going to work in stereo. So you're not going to live by your patch bay and try to figure things out. Everything's in front of you.
Very cool.
Another stereo width on a master, custom one transformer in and out. source selector, 4 sets of speakers. This is interesting. Solo left, solo right. A lot of times you want to listen to just the left channel, which what would it do technically is to mute your right speaker, so you only listen to this guy. When you hit solo left, the left channel plays in both speakers, so
solo to center.
You don't do the neck twisting thing. Talk back latching, momentary. That can also be on a foot switch. 4 sets of stereo headphone amps with a source selector and the level.
Yep.
Plus yours. I know what you're thinking. Yes, we do have them copied in the back.
I was about to ask.
Yeah. Every console ships with a TC clarity.
Okay.
That's hardwired to the master output, but they also have AES input. We put that in the back, so you just flip a switch here, and you can run the Pro Tools output or whatever they'll use it to the analyzer.
Understood.
The power supply, it's not what we know from your grandpa's console. It's not this big thing that needs to be in a separate room because it's causing, it makes a lot of noise or heat. It's a 3-rack unit with a big ass toroidal transformer, and it can power up to 4 modules, being either bucket of 8 or a center section. So out of one power supply, you can have 24 channels plus master.
Okay.
There is no limit how many channels you can have. It's like if your room is big enough, we'll bring a 464. You want 80 channels, we'll do 80 channels.
Okay, amazing. Is there any plans to break this channel strip out into a 2U unit or anything like that?
I'm not supposed to talk about it.
That is one of, we came over here first thing, we spoke earlier in the show, and I wanted to come over first thing Sunday when I thought, there's a little bit of breathing room, so we had a chance to get your ear, because this is hands down one of the most talked about things that we've seen on the internet, and there's a lot of people at home who are very curious, and I've seen that,
let me see that channel strip. We are very excited. Unfortunately, because of our shipper, we could not get the rest of the console here. But also, this is the channel strip. That's how it looks like.
Yes.
Again, I'm not saying our console will break, but if I'll tell you things are unbreakable, I'll be a liar. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to, for instance, replacing a channel, even, things go wrong that can be overnighted to you anywhere in the world.
Yes.
All you need to do is remove 4 screws and put 2 connectors.
Yes.
PhD not required. What's required is a Phillips screwdriver.
Yes.
Technically. No IC chips. Okay. No BS. There's over-engineering at its finest.
I really like the layout. Are these Alps potentiometers that are being used throughout here?
There's most of them are switches actually. Like you have the pots on the auxiliaries, but the rest are like EQ and, for instance, compressors. On the selectors here, on the filters and whatnot, we use switches wherever we can, because it's also the matter of recallability.
Is there plans to have recall for the desk?
No.
Okay.
No. Again, using switches, stuff like that, it's a little bit of a, it's a different story. It's much easier if you're using regular pots. Again, recallability, if you write it down or if you just go by ear, obviously you will come back to the exactly same spot because this is a switch.
Yes.
But like I mentioned, these guys are flying. And also, what's really nice, so yes, it's not a fader, we've got flying switches, but let's just call it a fader for the conversation purpose. The audio is passing through a fader.
Yes.
Your Pro Tools sees that, so you have a set of auxes or like dummy faders to run them. And it's a regular work. But on top of that, we have the DAW mode.
Is that a 0 dB mode?
Yes, that brings it to unity gain.
Yes.
But you can still control your Pro Tools or whatever DAW you're using with that.
That's one of the coolest things I've heard about at the NAMM show, because that DAW mode is actually something that I did maybe 11 years ago on my SSL, where I put a fixed resistor in place of the value for my VCA.
Exactly.
And I have the ability with little C and K switches individually to change each one of my faders to pretty much 0 dB.
Exactly.
But the thing is, at that point, they're dead. Like, those faders sit there, and that's what they are.
That completely takes it out of the equation.
But this allows you to use this whole console as a controller for your automation moves.
You have a very expensive summing box.
Yep.
And a controller.
Yes.
But again, sometimes you get a phone call like, everything's great, just bring this a little bit up or whatever. You fire up the session. Okay, print. Next. Yep. So if there was a situation that it could give you an extra option of something, we try to implement it, try to make it right. Like, even small things, like for instance, the order of of the processing. In many consoles, you can flip the EQ with the compressor the other way around. The insert is somewhere permanently. We have an option. We did that. If it fit in a circuit board and it might be useful for you, why not give it to you? Even silly things like, for instance, I don't know how many times you have to service a console when you have to pull out 80 knobs just to take the front plate off.
Yes.
Every hole is bigger than the knob pot. Okay. So you remove 4 screws when you take the whole thing off. The knob caps are staying in there.
That is awesome.
Yes.
So that was one of my biggest questions. So you literally can just take the front panel off and all the knobs stay.
It's everything is here. Like as you see, there's a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
There is a lot on a 2-layer board.
Yes.
But then again, it's a lot of times on older boards when you have this whole shark fin thing going with that the connector. There's a lot of times temperature changes or whatever. There's a big piece of plastic that moves around, and on the place where it goes inside, sometimes you might lose the connection.
Oh yeah, you may break your edge connectors.
Exactly. Over here you got 2 tapes. If you break that tape, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but you can get it. It's not made out of unobtainium, and you don't have to travel across the world to get it. Old vintage Soviet ECC tubes on every compressor for the makeup game. On the master section, you get Mullards. Because we're fancy.
Okay, so I'm seeing something here that I'm very curious about. On the back of this module, can we flip that over for the camera? I see that we've got a transformer, your discrete op amp, your 990, and you've got your compressor tacked back here. Does that mean if I put things together, could you have options for these things where they may have other flavors in the future?
As of the moment, no. Obviously, who am I to tell you not to swap the tube?
Yep.
Whether you're going to find a better sounding one, I might have my doubts.
Well, no,
okay.
No. Say, so this is an optical compressor, but is there any plans to have a VCA module that could go in there instead of that?
At this moment, what we got is what we got.
Understood.
And, we're trying
Understood.
This beauty's already sold. It's going to a studio here in town.
Okay.
Also, what I forgot to mention, the tube on a makeup game. If you're running your track through it, and you turn your compressor into a bypass mode, the signal will still run through the tube.
And then you can use the makeup game?
Shall you not like it or whatever reason you don't want it, you can turn off the tube. So the tube is out of the question, and you also prolong its life.
Yes.
So yeah, we like I said, over-engineering at its finest, and trying to make it usable, and this is it.
Well, very cool. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this.
My pleasure.